There is so much great talent coming out of the UK, and I'm so happy to have one of those artists join us. She dropped a mixtape late last year called The Greatest Thing I'll Never Learn. It's Dylan.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for being here and
Thank you for having me.
joining us. You look amazing. I love it. This is the stage fit.
Thanks. This is the stage fit. This is the homemade stage fit.
And how long does this take to put together? Because you have an amazing number of safety pins. I've never seen so many safety pins in my
You know
life.
what? It took about 2 episodes of Too Hot to Handle, I reckon.
You measure time by episodes.
Well, yeah, when you're doing something like this,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get bored quick.
Is there significance to this? Is this a throwback to childhood days of sewing with mom?
No, this is me trying to make my cheap trousers look more expensive.
You did a fine job.
Thank
You did a fine job. I'm sure all the fans will be so impressed here in the US.
With my safety pinning.
This is your debut US tour as a
Yes.
headliner.
Yes.
And it's so exciting. I saw a crazy line outside, and the people were just like so passionate about you. Is that kind of a surprise, or have you seen comments online and kind of prepared yourself for this?
I mean, I think, coming over the water, it's quite scary, and I'm still slightly convinced that there's going to be no one standing in that room when I go downstairs later. It's a little bit scary.
You opened for Ed Sheeran
Yes,
for 2 shows here in the US.
we've done 2 so far,
Right.
and we've got 5 to
You
go.
got a lot more to go. Bigger audiences, a lot more people.
Very big audiences.
How scary was that first show?
I mean, I love stadiums. I was very lucky to go on tour with him around the UK as well, so I'm very smugly quite used to it now.
Oh,
I love stadiums. Like, stadiums are where I want to be.
is it because you don't need to really see the faces, whereas
Oh, no,
in a
you can
smaller
see-
club?
You can see all the faces.
Yeah, but in a smaller club, you're really intimate. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, both I think are equally scary. Just putting on a live show is quite scary. But, I mean, I don't think the nerves change between smaller venues. It doesn't matter for me whether I'm playing to 2 people or to 30,000. It's
I love your story because you have like that family in the neighborhood that every kid wants to hang out with that rock and roll dad, the kids that are singing on tables and just having a ball and all those things. And you were a ham for the family for a period of time, and then you kind of retracted as you started to take music seriously, from what I hear,
yes.
and now regaining that confidence.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been a wild ride thus far.
As your dad was showing you and playing you just all these random classic rock bands like Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, and so forth, I mean, to you, that was just normal.
Yeah.
How do you view that today?
I mean, I think in my head, I'm in one of those bands. I know it won't come across that right way because I write pop music, but in my head, I'm living out the rock and roll lifestyle.
Do you take any, or I guess what aspects of those artists, classic rock artists like Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, and Aerosmith, do you bring to Dylan?
But I think there's a lot of big guitars, especially in the live show. Like, the live show is way rockier than I think it is pop. I mean, you'll see some of my moves later on tonight. But I think just the energy of it all, like watching those bands, especially people like AC/DC, it's incredible to watch. The stage presence is like enormous.
Yeah.
And in my head, that's what I'm doing, even if I'm not.
And your songs are obviously so relatable to so many people. 19 made such an impression early on, and so many songs from this mixtape as well. And then you have some new songs that are part of that deluxe edition as well.
Yes.
When were those songs written? Because you're really touching matters of the heart, relationships, and girl power at the same time.
So all of those songs were written last year.
Okay.
It was actually, the mixtape was written in quite a short amount of time. A lot went down. Like, I went through a lot of loss. Fell in love for the first time. Had my heart broken for the first time. It was a whirlwind of emotions last year. And, I think everyone goes through it.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through something. I think everyone that turns up to my gigs is going through something, which is why they're there.
Where do you find that voice or that universal truth as you're journaling and using words to extract for lyricism? Because that's difficult to separate the two, right?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I write what's true to me and hope that people relate to it.
Well, clearly, so many people are relating to it. Was there a particular song that was difficult to write on this mixtape?
Blisters was quite hard to write. Blue was quite hard to write. Blue just because it's very rare that I write love songs. Home is where the heart is. This also was a difficult one, just because it was me opening up more than I ever have before. And I find that very hard to do. And the only way I can really do it, the only time I really talk about what's going on in my life or how I'm feeling is when I'm writing songs. So it was definitely interesting for me to put those out.
Did you hesitate on any of them? Was there one that you held back and you're like, screw it, just put it on there?
Blue, I was a bit unsure of.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because it was going to be very obvious to the person I wrote it about that it was about them. And I wasn't sure if I wanted them to know.
Do you tell them ahead of time or do they call you after the fact?
I'm pretty sure I drunk texted them being like, just so you know, you're screwed.
Who are some of the artists in which you find not just inspiration, but also informing your songwriting? Because there's a plethora of so many great songwriters today.
I mean, I think it's hard to choose a couple. Like, I listen to such a huge variety of music and get such a inspiration from, the proper songwriters that are serious storytellers. Old music, new music. I mean, of course, Taylor Swift is a massive part of my life because before I was introduced to her music, none of my songs made any sense. No structural sense, no storyline sense. You had to have no idea what any of them were about. And then I was introduced to her music, and till this day, it's really channeled a storytelling line for me.
What was the gateway album or song that resonated with you from Taylor?
Oh, from Taylor.
Well,
I remember the first one I heard was 15, which was on her first album, I think.
Yeah.
And being like, that's how I feel. And I mean, now, Don't Blame Me will always be my favorite Taylor Swift song.
I heard you're a big Catfish and the Bottlemen fan as well.
I am.
And I love those guys.
They've broken up now.
Well, I know, but I love those guys. I mean,
I could listen to those albums day in and day out.
Van is just a unique talent. Do you carry some of their ethos in your presentation, stage presence? I feel like that's so rock and roll. It's so in your face.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely look at his songwriting. Like, I like the way that he writes. It's very straight to the point and very conversational, which I feel like I've slightly taken on in recent years. Stage presence, I don't know. I saw them live when I was 17, 16. I'd like to think I look as cool as that, but I don't think I quite get that.
You got the safety pins.
Thanks. As long as I've got the safety pins,
that's rock and roll,
cool, right?
That's all DIY. When we were talking about new music, I'm sure you're always pontificating and looking for inspiration, or it just comes to you, I'm sure. What's planned?
There's going to be a lot of music coming, that's for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I've done, of course, a lot of chaos recently, so I always have a lot to write about. The personal life is seriously questionable.
Still.
Always. I'm a songwriter. That's how we live. That's how we die.
Yes.
But I'm definitely looking forward to giving out the new stuff. I think it's far superior to anything I've ever done before.
What do you think is the biggest growth in this new batch of material?
I think it just applies to more people. Like, I've been less... What's the word? When you're really specific. I've been less specific.
Okay.
So that I guess it can apply to more people. Also, I can make it about more things than one.
So there's more room for interpretation.
There's I guess so.
Different scenarios for which, that song's for me, and it's a totally situation than what you might have been in.
Exactly.
Interesting. And chaos. So
always.
Is there going to be more of that rock and roll element? Is there a guitar solo? I know that's something that is lost in the art these days.
Don't worry. There's guitar solos coming.
Interesting. I am so looking forward to that. And I want to see that on stage.
Oh yeah, you're going to see a really, really bad guitar solo tonight. Don't worry, it's part of the package.
The worst impression of Slash is that?
Oh yeah, it's terrifying, but I can't not do it. It's just for my complex.
I want to see it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
And it's going to be
Well, it's gonna be
historic.
bad, but it's also
It's going to be
good.
historic.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank
It's so
you.
great to meet you. I'm a big fan of your music, and best of
very
luck with
much.
everything. It is Dylan right here on B-Sides.